Hello, everyone. Is this too loud? No. Okay. Great. So I'm going to take you on a little journey. I'm going to start from what is happening today. I'm going to do a little trip in the past and then try to give you a glimpse of the future. And this trip is going to be about going from consulting to productizing. And Max has asked me to make it as personal and to make all the stories as real as possible. And I'll try to stick to that. So first of all, my name is Matteo. And when I introduce myself, I say that I am a consultant and an entrepreneur. So I am a consultant, and I consult companies. I help them doing their online marketing. Sometimes I help them in their innovation. Sometimes I help their online strategy. Sometimes I also do social media. And I now run a successful consulting business. I pay the rent, pay the bills, go to the restaurant, fly on vacation through my consulting business. So it's going really fine. And the one thing I've learned, and the one thing that any one of you should apply to their consulting business if you want to start one, is to make sure that you know how to get a retainer agreement. And if you don't know what a retainer agreement is, it's a deal with your clients that tells how long you're going to work with them, at what rate, and it kind of gives you the peace of mind of trying to plan your life a little bit more and to plan your relationship with them a little bit more. So if there is one takeaway that you want to get from this whole presentation is right here. So have your clients, your most important clients, on a retainer agreement. I said that I'm also an entrepreneur, and actually sometimes I encounter some people, encounter some ideas, and I don't want them to be clients, simply. I think that if they would be clients, well, it kind of wouldn't work. And I don't see the world as, a collection of possible clients. Sometimes it's better to have partners. And this gives me a great opportunity because I can work at the same time as a consultant for established businesses, and I can work for startups as an entrepreneur. So I kind of get the best of both worlds. Thank you. Now, this story is going all too well, so where's the bad guy? Where's the interesting part? Where are the problems? How did I get here? Let's dive into the past for a little bit, and let's find out how I reached this point. To do that, I'm going to borrow a phrase from Brad Pitt, and in the beautiful movie, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, the Brad Pitt character at some point says that you can only live life going forwards, but actually to understand it, you have to go backwards. Well, actually, the quotation is not originally from the scriptwriter of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, but is a quote from Søren Kierkegaard. But anyhow, I did this kind of reconstructed what happened because the story is actually quite different from how it sounds up until now. So I started my consulting business in a very practical way. I signed one client, and it was very big. So it was great. At the same time, I didn't really know what consulting was about, so I just got distracted. I lost my focus. I started thinking about other ideas, other things I could do, other businesses I could start and grow. And I didn't forget about my client. I was delivering and having a great relationship with them, but my mind was on something else. And this was a tragic error. The error is underlined by an important figure and symbol and kind of philosophical concept that entered in my life. The big zero. And that zero is referred to the bank account because at some point, not because of me, my client had some internal changes and they didn't need with the same, at the same rate my services. And so I encountered this powerful motivator, hunger. And I invite you to arrive at this point because hunger is great. hunger is great because it gives you focus. And my best business decisions have been done in a moment where I had to decide, you know, where to get your groceries. Maybe not at the best level, and maybe go to the discount, or to stay in more nights and to save some money. And in that moment, I made some really, really great decisions. So I'm going to borrow from another artifact, which is The Wire. Any of you have seen The Wire, actually? Just the lucky few. All right, but it's the best TV series that was ever shot. So anyhow, you have a chance to devote some time to some great content. At some point, oh, sorry, maybe the level is too high. At some point, the character of Lester Freeman, who is a detective, at some point he starts telling his colleagues that they shouldn't continue following the drugs. They shouldn't just follow the drug dealers, because they're going to find just stashes and other small drug dealers. If they want to solve the case, he's a policeman, they have to follow the money. Now, I wish I had this character come to me. Actually, the person that came to me was my good friend Andrea. And he's a seasoned entrepreneur, and when I told him about my struggles, when I told him that I had this problem, when I told him that, you know, my bank account went to zero, that my consulting was not working, he had this kind of zen-like smile and this empathetic look in his eyes. And he told me, Matteo, you're a consultant. You're not doing any consulting right now. Just follow the money. The money was coming from consulting. It has to come from there, not from other ideas, not from other projects, not from other sources. And so I did, and I started applying the same principles that I apply with clients to myself. So the first thing I did is I used the business model canvas to figure out what I was actually doing and what were my chances as a consultant, and what was the direction of my business. And I actually hired a consultant friend to do it with me, because, you know, it's quite hard to do it by yourself. And after that, I had another terrific challenge. I had absolutely all the time in the world, because I had no clients and I had no website. So I built a website. And when you have to build a website for your business, there's a ton of really interesting questions that you need to ask and you need to answer. Like, what is your product line? Is there an image that illustrates your product? How do you market your products? For who do you make them? And that was a fantastic time just to focus and find out exactly what I was doing. The other great thing happened 1 full year after I started this kind of zero crisis and was coming out with a definition of what I was doing. And I can tell you, it was a real breakthrough for me. Now it's kind of easy to say, and it's easy to illustrate it, that what I'm working on is a consulting business that is an innovation laboratory, and what I like to do is match ideas and people. But it took me a long time to get there. Why didn't I do this from the beginning? Why didn't I do it when I signed my first client? Well, another 6 months later, I encountered this poster. I was walking by the Maker Faire in Rome. The European Maker Faire happens in Rome, if you didn't know, and it's quite cool. And it says "Se faccio capisco," which is translated "If I do, I understand." And it's a Confucius quote, a kind of very famous one. And when I saw that, I had probably the same feeling that a Lady Gaga fan has when it hears the songs, the latest songs. Like, oh, it's really talking to me. And actually, I had exactly that feeling. So I stared at this sign, and then I talked for like 1 hour with the people from Reggio Emilia that were organizing this. This is a conference titled "If I Do, I Understand," because I actually needed to get into consulting. I needed to get my first client. I needed to do all that in order to understand, in order to find out what I was doing. Now, I promised that we were going to talk about products. So let's have a look at the future. Now, obviously, we want products because consulting is not scalable. So you start consulting, you sign a few clients, you start working more, then maybe you start to raise your rates because you're fully booked, and then you have this kind of illusion of a hockey stick moment, and then you flatline because you run out of time. So this is quite obvious. The problem is always doing this trade between time and money. So I was an employee for more than 15 years, and I was trading time with money. Then 3 years ago, I start a consulting business, and what do? I trade time with money. So how do we decouple those? Obviously, we decouple those with products. But how do we find products? How do we make products? What are the principles that drive product creation and also in some way product discovery? Let's use also this term. I think I can talk about 3. There might be many more, and I love this topic, so I love to get more in depth about it. But the first principle is to be 100% within your area of expertise. Entrepreneurs have a tendency of seeing possibilities where they don't know. To successfully build a product, you have to go in the area that you know well. The area where you know the stakeholders, the area where you know the needs, the area where you know the clients, the area where you know already the people by name, where you have an address book full of phone numbers. The second really important principle, and it's quite a little bit counterintuitive, and at least it was for me, is that it has to be easy. Now, I've been taught in school in Italy that if something is easy, I'm not doing the right thing. That I need to step up. I need to find the right level. And I think also my parents told me that, you're a smart guy, so you have to find something hard to hone your skills, so you're going to get better. Entrepreneurship is kind of like that, but not in the area of product discovery. If you have to find a product, it has to be something that comes easy to you. So if languages are easy for you, like in Dan's case, if writing, it comes easy for you, develop products in that direction. Don't try to go for the big challenge that will make you look smarter. It won't, actually. The other thing is that you need passion. What I mean by passion, I hope this is not too abstract, is actually you need to have fun doing it. It needs to be something that it's not boring you. Because you're going to do it for a long time, you're going to do it with a lot of people that are in that area. So let's say that you also need to have fun with your clients. You have to find a product that appeals to an audience that you like. An audience of people that if you get stuck in an elevator with one of them, you don't want to kill yourself, okay? So what product did I come up with? Actually, I kind of have a passion for presentations, and I've been doing presentations for quite a long time. And actually, I came up with Presentation Hero. And the promise of Presentation Hero is actually a big one. I'd like to save the world from bad presentations. And I start one presentation at a time, obviously, and I hope I start with mine. It's a training course. It's an online training course, and you can find it at the URL that you find at the bottom of the slides. But I'm not here to pitch my product. I want to tell you a few things about some great resources that I found along the way. Pardon me if this, for some of you, is a repetition. I apologize, but they were such great products, such great resources that I really feel the need to share them with you. Let's see. Do you know Patrick McKenzie, known as Patio 11? Show me some hands. Yeah, somebody knows him. Right. So he's a fantastic guy. He has done the whole trip from consulting to developing a product business, and he's the go-to guy if you want to talk about software as a service businesses that are completely bootstrapped. Check out his website, is Kalzumius, and his podcast is absolutely brilliant, even if it's kind of long, 1.5 hours, 2 hours per episode. Through him, I found out MicroConf. I have no relationship with MicroConf. I get no kickbacks or anything. The next MicroConf is happening in Prague, and actually it's a conference that's just about micropreneurship. And you can find all the videos of the previous years online. So you don't need to pay the ticket to the conference. You just devote some time, or you're organized, you know how to organize your GTD, so organize some time to watch the talks from MicroConf. Another resource that I found really useful on the path is somebody that has started from the freelancing and started developing products that can help other freelancers, and that's also a way to go. And in this case, it's Brennan Dunn with Double Your Freelancing Rate. And there's a lot of resources about how to price, and it's really worth it if you want to be a consultant to have a look at all these pricing strategies. There is a ton of very good books, and there's a ton of very good theories like value-based pricing that you can follow. But if you're doing products, you have to follow Nathan Barry. Who of you know Nathan Barry? There you go. Oh, all right, he's more popular. Great. So he's better at marketing than Patrick, but he's kind of done the whole trip from consulting to products and made it into a book that also talks about product launches, which is quite interesting. Finally, 2 marketing tactical resources: Noah Kagan, OK Dork, really practical tips that work for your website, for your email list. And finally, the best SEO advice that you're going to find on the internet, which is very white hat and very simple, very actionable. That's Brian Dean with Backlinko, and these are just my latest finds, and I wanted to share with you. So my takeaways for you are to have your clients on a retainer agreement if you have the idea of building a consulting business. And the other thing that's really important is to kind of find your domain of expertise and search inside that area to find something that comes easy to you, or at least it's easier for you than it is for other people. So, benchmark how hard it is for other people and maybe go in that direction, but also something that has like clients that you would like to spend time with, a kind of business area that it's interesting for you and you can spend time because you have fun doing what you do. The ending of this talk, which is this section, is about the future, hasn't anything to do with me actually, but it has to do with you. So it depends if this talk moves you to action, and it can move you to action, I think, in 2 really specific ways. One is to focus on some of these tips and focus on your business, and maybe come back to me and ask me for some more advice if I can give it. And the other thing is actually to share this and to kind of spread it to the world. So I leave it up to you. You're in charge, and this is dedicated to you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't know if I should pass the microphone maybe. So everybody.
All right. First of all, great speech. Enjoyed it a lot. I have a question concerning the time when you had no clients and you were really worrying about your money and you didn't have a website. How did you pretty much get from just setting up your website to actually getting your client at age?
Thanks for the question. Now, the interesting thing is that I never got one single client from the website. So, but there is a catch. So basically, you get clients by picking up the phone, going out, and meeting people, etc. And a great source of clients is referrals. So somebody tells somebody else, oh, you should hire Matteo. Now, what happens if somebody tells somebody else you should hire Matteo is that they check on you. And when they check on me, they go to my website and they call me immediately and say, oh, Mike said you were great, and I checked your website and it's awesome, so I want to work with you. So in this way, the website has been hugely successful and has brought a lot of clients. Shall I?
I think I can stop.
Yeah.
You and the previous speaker talk about raising your fees as a freelancer. What do you have to say about fees being dominated by competition, and what this competition tells the customers, the clients? So the clients know there are a lot of people doing what you are doing, and independently from your skills, they want to pay a fixed rate. And you have to fight with that somehow. You cannot just say, hey, I'm good. Okay, we are good, but there are another 200 as good as you. I'm very good. Okay, there are 50. But this is what we are paying, and the rates, the fees are dictated by the clients in the end. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I've read a lot about it because it was very puzzling for me as well. And if you want to know more about it, I suggest to read A Whole New Mind by Dan Pink and all the books by Seth Godin, which are all great. So, and the fact of the matter is that your value proposition has to, as a consultant, as a freelancer, has to revolve around your uniqueness. That's the only way to get outside of the competition and tell your clients, you will want me because I can do this in a way that is different from the other people. Otherwise, if you try to do it cheaper, more efficient, more faster, quicker deadline, etc., you're just part of the crowd, part of the bunch. And this is the reason why, for instance, I am quite critical of platforms like Odesk and Elance that should, help freelancers start their business, because they actually create this illusion of really low price that also drives a very low quality, and they kind of ruin the market for the high quality freelancers. And one of the best business ideas that is floating around and one can do is actually the premium freelancer marketplace, like the Odesk for people that know what they are doing. I hope I answered your question a little bit.
I don't need it.
All right.
You said that the retainer was the most important part of this presentation. Could you go into a little bit more detail about what your retainer is, for example? Because I think you can kind of approach that in about 20 different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I found most beneficial is to making a yearly plan. Mm-hmm. And in this yearly plan, you kind of set out, you set out some time and your client set out some budget. And it would be ideal to write it down on paper. Sometimes you don't really need to write it down on paper, but already the act of budgeting for the whole year with you creates an obligation. And then it's kind of your ability becoming necessary that makes it kind of natural for them then to renew it the next year. But basically, it's a 6 months process of sitting down with your client and trying to find out why you're going to be more beneficial to them if you are constantly on call, if you're constantly available, if you're doing some projects constantly, instead of kind of doing a project, getting interrupted, making some more proposals, sending 3 proposals, having 1 approved, and then starting again. And try to let them into the efficiencies and the benefits that they will have with that. And obviously, your benefit is that you're going to know for that year how much money is coming into the bank, which is absolutely great.
So you try to convince them that the retainer is worth it by saying, if you don't take it, then I might be booked out, or we're going to have to go through this whole process again.
Well, I wouldn't focus on the negatives. I would focus on the benefit of having you.
If you don't take it.
You know, you can go to the meeting with some props if you want to scare them. But I mean, it's better to go with the positives. Like, I can do more for you because you're devoting more budget. I can do more for you because I will know better your business processes because I'm on your business processes the whole year. There's lots of kind of positive hooks you can use. And if you are really good, and if they really need you, you can also scare them and say, you know, maybe the competitor snatches me and they pay me more, so I have less time for you. Oh, up there? Yeah.
So
Shout.
I guess you were talking about, did you have, you said you were working for 15 years in a company. Did you use those skills and knowledge to have your neo-consulting business, or was it something completely different?
No, I use all my knowledge. I use all the knowledge that comes from all my experiences, actually. Because also at some point, I have to say that right now, my consulting business is almost 100% aligned with my life businesses. With my life purposes. It's kind of a scary connection there, and so I'm kind of telling my clients and kind of steering my clients towards the things that I really want to do, that I think that are most meaningful, not only in their business but in general also in my life. So it goes all in that.
What's your opinion about, I mean, there are people out there, like me in the past as well, who they want to change career, they don't want to do anything with what they did, and they want to become, for example, a coach. And then they do some courses, and they find out that they actually can be good at it, they have potential, and then they want to start a coaching business. So that's a little bit different, because they don't have that much experience in that. What's your opinion on that? Ideas or tips?
I have great esteem for a path like that. The path that I'm suggesting is the path of least resistance and the easiest one. But I mean, nobody says that you shouldn't challenge the status quo, go for the difficult, challenging, and maybe the objective that has the most reward. Absolutely, I have great esteem for that approach as well. I wouldn't suggest it in general, like a white label solution wouldn't be like that in my opinion.
So my experience was that I did some courses, and I just started coaching people, and I got results, and I said, well, I can actually make money with that. I started doing that, and then well, I didn't have enough business skills, so I didn't build a whole big business around it at the end. But that's how I started, for example, and just getting experience with coaching, and already charging money from the beginning and getting results.
No, that's great, but the path that you followed is exactly go from find your knowledge, and then from that knowledge kind of share it and construct your product, which is a great path.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.